to see if the talar head is in an abnormal position, because it starts off in the fetus adducted, the talar head and neck is adducted. So what you do is you can either use a ruler or you can use eye, and you look at the centre of the calc, and then you really need to draw a straight line from the centre of the calc forward through the foot. And that straight line coming forward through the foot should roughly go through the second and third toe. If it goes beyond the third toe, then it suggests that you've probably got the talar head and neck that's still left in this adducted position. Now, there is another condition that you've done with Neil that may give a value when you do this, where it may go through the fourth toe or the fifth toe. That's not actually coming from as far back in the foot as the talus. Can you remember what that is? And that has very characteristic features. And he's got some lovely slides that he's put up for you, because I've seen them. Or what else could be adducted in the foot? The talar head and neck isn't.
Oh.
Which bit of it?
The
metatarsals. Metatarsals adductus, have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So metatarsals adductus can give you a reading where it goes through the lesser toes from the third, beyond the third and onwards. Well, what the characteristic feature with that is it's got a very C-shaped lateral border, because the adductus is occurring at this Lisfranc's joint. It's a joint between the metatarsal bases and the tarsal bones. You have done it. It's like a banana. It looks like, yeah, they look like bananas. And then genivarum and genivalgum, you just stand them up and try and get the knees and their ankles together.
Malleolar position.
If the you're looking at interfemoral, intercondylar position of the femur or intermalleolar position of the malleoli. So if there's a gap between the malleoli, it's suggesting you've got genivalgum, not knees. And if there's a gap between the femoral condyles, it's suggesting that you've got genivarum, which is bone leg. Now, some people can look as though they've got genivalgum, but when you do this, it's not the case. And the reason that you can look as though they've got genivarum, it's not uncommon in women, is if they've got very pronating feet. When they're walking, they can look, when they're moving, they can look as though it's a genivalgum. Because the way that we're put together, our hips are wider, so the angle that our femur come down at is slightly different than the males. So if you've got very pronating feet as well, then you can easily look as though you've got a genivarum, but it's an apparent one rather than a natural one.
But if it's just still,
that's it suggesting it's a structural problem. And basically, you know that you should, I mean, kids start off in genivarum, and then they move to genivalgum, and they tend to straighten up, and then they tend to move again to genivalgum. Around the fast growing time to move to genivalgum. It's coming from the knee joint level. It's because the medial femoral condyle is growing at a faster rate than the lateral one. And there's a whole science behind it. Apparently, you get so much pressure and it accelerates growth, and then you get even greater pressure and it arrests growth. so it's a natural process. So by standing up, you're actually stimulating growth because you're putting pressure between the tibia and the femur, and you might stimulate growth on the medial side of the knee joint, and then because you've got so much pressure, but then that pressure gets too much and that arrests growth, and then you get the growth on the lateral side.
I read that, I don't know if this is right, probably in coxavera and valgum, if you've got ligament laxity, part of the thing that pulls it out of verum and straightens it up is the tightness of your ligaments on there. And if you've got ligament laxity, it doesn't do it as much, and so you're left with a more verum, coxavera. Read that in Bible.
Yeah, I think if you've got ligament laxity, you can have any of these movements at where you've got a joint. You can probably get an appearance of any of these structural things. Whether it's actually structural or not, you wouldn't really know. You'd have to X-ray it. Yeah. Whether you've actually grown it in or not. I know that you can grow structural things in. I know in the 50s, I don't know if I told you this, but there's a paper, I got a paper out on, I don't know why I got it, but anyway I did. You know how rabbits' feet grow like that, the hind feet like that? What they did is they put, you know the plaster of Paris? They held it in the plaster of Paris like that. And they grew the hind leg, they grew that deformity into the hind leg from holding it in that position. Oh, I know why, because I was looking at kids, and basically, I think the best time to treat kids are when they're young, I mean really young.
Babies.
Like babies. But and I was trying to do it with the Rama PhD, I was trying to sort of get that idea, because everything's plastic, so you can shift it to a different position. But the problem that we have is we don't know what position we should shift it to, because everybody develops at a different rate. So that's the problem that we've got. But Ponseti is proving that. Ponseti method. Have you heard of Ponseti? Ponseti, the treating club thought the orthopaedics resisted it because what they wanted to do was operate. But there's the guy he died about 2 years ago, Ponseti, and he was working up till he was 90. And basically he was what they do is they cast club foot in different positions, because it has 3 components to it, club foot. And they cast it in different positions, and they take certain bits. They just use one plane at a time, so they just get one plane of deformity out at a time, or they try, by holding it in position. And then when they've got it to where they want it, then they put the children in, put them in boots, splinted it basically, splint it for 18 months, like 24 hours a day in these boots. But it's very successful. I mean, it does have some don't respond, but generally speaking, it's a successful treatment. It's much better than going in with a blade and cutting. And you're getting them when they're at the right time.
I've got an antenna for this.
Right.
So the cat